Hello and welcome to my little corner of the internet. If this is your first visit to my channel, it's worth mentioning this is not typical of my usual content. I do a lot of food reviews, taste tests, full days of eating, those kinds of things. And if that is more your thing, then I do hope you'll come back on Sunday. I will be uploading a Finding the Best video then. If, however, your first visit to my channel is as a result of either the title or description of this video, you will find on my channel page a set of highly organised playlists, and there is one labelled Eating Disorders and Mental Health, and any videos I have done or future videos I may do on this subject will be added to that playlist. If this is the sort of thing you'd like to see more of from me, please do let me know in the comments below, or you can send me a DM on Instagram. You'll find me over there as Kaz Loves Cakes. Now, before I get into this video, quick disclaimer, I don't have any training or qualifications in nutrition, fitness, mental health, psychology, eating disorders, any of that kind of thing. I have done some research, and over the years there are various things that I have read and watched and listened to which have helped me to formulate these opinions. It doesn't mean I'm always right, but don't tell that to any future boyfriends I may have. You can take from this video anything that you may find helpful and just ignore anything that you don't. My previous video was aimed at people with eating disorders and those supporting them, but this one is specifically aimed at those who are struggling with an eating disorder. I also want to say that I'm going to do my best to make sure this video is not triggering in any way, but as ever, if you do find that it is unhelpful to you at the moment, please do click off it, watch one of my other videos, but put yourself, your own well-being first. January 2022, and it's that time of year again. Diet culture is everywhere and there is literally no escaping it. It seeps into social media via adverts. The TV guide is littered with programs on diet, nutrition, exercise, good foods, bad foods, all of that kind of crap. If you're anything like me, you'll get slimming group and gym membership leaflets shoved through your letterbox, usually along with 3 or 4 takeaway menus. And it's highly likely that you're going to encounter at least one person in your general day-to-day life who is on some sort of new health kick or diet. I'm going to throw it out there. I do not believe in diets. Now, I'm not saying diets do not work, because the evidence would suggest that in the short term, clearly they can work. But I believe that if you want to make sustainable changes, you need to adjust your current way of life in a way that you can maintain. I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty of why I think diets don't work. For this video, I think just knowing the standpoint I'm coming from, I don't believe in diets, hate them, think they are ridiculous, is probably as much as you need to know. If you are someone struggling with an eating disorder, it can be an absolute minefield trying to navigate your way through each day and not allow yourself to be triggered. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on things that may help you to block out as much of the triggering stuff as possible. Some of the things you can do to guard against social media adverts is to block that type of advert from appearing or report it. Don't watch those programs on television if you know it's something that you may find is going to trigger you. And with things like leaflets through the door, just put them straight in the bin. Don't even look at them. They do not apply to you, and you do not need them in your life. When it comes to situations like, for example, friends of yours or colleagues at work who are on diets and constantly talking about them, that can be an awful lot harder to protect yourself from, because short of getting up and walking out the room or asking them to please change the subject, there isn't really much you can do to prevent that kind of thing from coming up in discussions. But what you can do is change the way you react to them. If you're at work and there's a couple of colleagues discussing the diet that they've just started, first of all, bear in mind most people who go on diets do not keep up with them for very long. There are so many people that start off in January with the best of intentions. They go on a new eating plan, they join a gym, and by March, it's all forgotten and out the window and they've given up. When people have that initial buzz in the first week or two, they are likely to want to talk about it. It's human nature to want to share what you feel to be a success. So when you're in the break room at work and you hear colleagues discussing how good they've been because they didn't eat a chocolate bar that day, keep in mind, it doesn't matter. They chose not to eat the chocolate bar. They chose to miss out on a delicious snack. That's up to them. You need to do what is right for you and your body, and that is to give it the fuel and nutrition that it needs. Also, bear in mind that person who didn't have that chocolate bar may well go home, find they are ravenous, and they'll sit in front of the telly and eat an entire packet of biscuits. As well as disagreeing with the whole concept of diets, I hate the terms good and bad when it comes to food. Yes, some of them have more health and nutritional benefits than others. I think if you eat too much of any food, it is going to be bad for you. This is coming from someone who, when I was a teenager, ate half a head of raw white cabbage. Cabbage is generally something most people would count as a good food. Not when you eat that much of it in one go. I was in agony. I was literally green. I felt so sick and my stomach was so upset. It was horrendous. Similarly, eat too much of anything, it's going to have negative effects on your body. But just because something maybe doesn't have a lot of nutritional content doesn't mean you shouldn't have it or that it's bad. I truly believe a balanced diet should incorporate a bit of everything. I'm going to use chocolate as an example here, just because it is a food I particularly enjoy and one that is commonly thought of as being a bad food. I find that from time to time, I will just get a bit of a craving to have some chocolate. If I ignore that craving, I just think about that chocolate more and more until I am literally obsessed with it. What happens then? I usually end up going and eating way more chocolate than I would have had I just had some when I first got the craving for it. And I think cutting out any food group can cause that kind of thinking, and that is not healthy. It's not healthy to be obsessed with any particular type of food. It's not healthy to deny yourself things that you want. Life is to be enjoyed. Food is to be enjoyed. Eating a biscuit or any other bad food is not a crime, and therefore you shouldn't feel guilty for having it. If you look back at the last few decades and the dieting advice that has come out, fat was bad, carbs were bad, sugar was bad. At this rate, everything is going to be bad. If somebody says that they are doing X amount of exercise per week, you don't have to match that. Remember, if you have an eating disorder, your body is undernourished and underfueled. That person will have enough energy to be able to do that sort of exercise because they are having sufficient nutritional intake and you are not. And also, give it a few weeks, that person may not be going to the gym as often or even at all. This all means that it doesn't matter what anyone else does or doesn't eat, or what exercise anyone else does or doesn't do. It doesn't affect you and your body. If somebody skips breakfast, it doesn't mean you should skip breakfast. You do not need to compare yourself and what you eat to anybody else. Another thing that can be really difficult, particularly if you've been off work at New Year or there's people that you maybe haven't seen for a while, is when people tell you that you look good or you look well. I don't think it's a generalisation to say that most people don't understand the twisted logic of an eating disordered brain. And when they say you look good or you look well, they don't realise your brain will interpret that as you look fat, you look like you've gained weight. When someone says that you look good or you look well, they're not actually commenting on your weight. Maybe your skin is glowing, maybe your hair is shiny, maybe your makeup looks nice, maybe your outfit looks nice, and that's what they mean. For most people, receiving a compliment from someone else is a nice thing. Somebody may well think, oh God, that person looks awful. I'm going to give them a compliment and cheer them up. Go up to them and say, you look well. And they're doing it to try and make that person feel better. There is no malice intended with those words, but an eating disordered brain will put a negative spin on absolutely anything and everything that it can, and it will look deep and hard to find that negativity in even the most innocuous of statements. There are some situations that you can kind of arm yourself against, but there are always going to be triggers that just come straight out of the blue. One example of something that would probably fit into this category. Last year, I was just watching the news one evening, as I usually do. There was a feature that came on about the obesity crisis in the UK, and the newsreader said that most adults overeat by X amount of calories a day. Now, that was fine because I knew it didn't apply to me. I'm not obese. I'm not overeating. But to someone with an eating disorder, they could hear that and internalise it and take it personally and almost feel as though they are being told they should eat less. And even if you are in a body that is classed as overweight, if you have an eating disorder, that still does not change the advice that I am giving you. Just because somebody is overweight, it doesn't mean that they should automatically be going on diets, things like that, because there are reasons why that person is the way they are, why they eat the way they eat, and a diet is not going to fix it. In my opinion, a diet is going to make the problem a hell of a lot worse. Your body, at the very biological level, is an organism, and like all organisms, it wants to survive as long as it can and probably reproduce. Your body wants to be healthy. Your body will determine what is healthy for you. A BMI chart is not going to do that for you. So when it comes to hunger cues and things like that, you do need to trust your body. It is doing what is best for you. I could go into more about binge eating and the reasons why that can happen and things like that, but not for this video. It is unfortunate at this time of year there are going to be so many triggers around and you can't stop it. All you can do is control how you react to it. Your eating disorder will try and use these triggers to reinforce itself and the distorted thinking in your brain. You're the only person who can push back against that. And it's going to be hard, but you have to do it because it's the only way that you are going to learn not to be triggered by these things. You have to decide, I'm not going to let this affect me. That voice that is telling me I am wrong, I am bad, I am greedy because I want to eat a packet of crisps, it's not going to stop. But I can choose whether I listen to it or whether I pick up the bag of crisps and scoff them. But it's knowing and believing you have that power and you have that strength. I truly believe that anyone with the willpower to starve themselves can turn that around and use that willpower to recover. I think one thing that anyone with an eating disorder needs to keep at the forefront of their mind when dealing with all this diet culture stuff is that you have an illness. You are not on a diet. The illness you have is very serious. When you are seeing these adverts on Facebook or programs on the television, the things they are saying do not apply to you, and you've just got to try and keep that at the front of your mind to help you ignore any triggers. Now, it's very easy for me to sit here and say, just do this, just do that. It's an awful lot harder to do it, but practice will make it a bit easier for you. I can't lie, it's actually been incredibly difficult making this video, and the number of times I've stopped and started is just, it's probably more than any other video I've ever done, including my very first one, and oh my god, that one took me hours to record. I think the reason is because it's such a sensitive subject and I'm trying to be really careful in what I say and the way that I word it, because the last thing I want to do is make anyone feel bad or trigger anyone with what I'm saying. I'm going to go ahead and close the video here. I'll put a link to the Beat website in the description box with this video, and you'll be able to find resources there if you are struggling and you do need some help or support with it. Don't talk yourself out of it, because isolation is one of your eating disorder's biggest weapons against you. I would really love it if, having watched this video, you could get up now and go and get yourself something to eat, because your body needs it. Take care. Bye.